Traders, welcome back to the channel. Today we're talking about ticker symbol NNDM, Nano Dimension. Now, I've had a lot of requests about this specific stock. Giving you my viewpoints, I've been very quiet on them since that $13, $12 range. I did buy some at that range, and we continued to get those offerings, as well as the economy was just getting completely wrecked. So I want to address my viewpoints, some really big news that's been coming out about NNDM. We've had huge buys from CATHIE Wood, and I just want to give my long-term viewpoint of the company. Short-term, I don't see anything too positive. However, there's coming a buy inflection point where I believe you could potentially see some good returns from, but there is a little bit of downside that I'm suspecting in the near-term future. So let's get right to the content. Okay, so the first thing I want to cover is this article here, and this essentially goes over Nano Dimension, their 3D printing product, who they're working with and stuff like that. But there's some key things I want to discuss about CATHIE Wood before we get into this stuff. So Wood especially pleased with NNDM's defense contract. This is essentially why she loves them. And if you look at ARK and a few of their other portfolios, they own a lot of stuff that works directly with defense because their contracts continue to do well. Look at PLTR. That's why they're so big into PLTR. Kratos, NNDM is not going to be an exception. It follows right into that category. So as we see, we always look for where defense is putting their money. She says, this makes sense because the technology breakthroughs, including the internet, began as Cold War activities. So they see that being the opening door for these brands. PLTR specifically is going to be one that I love to talk about because all their deals worked specifically with these defense contracts, and now they're expanding to the public. Yeah, Procter & Gamble, BP, and other brands like that. So let's get right into this. So there's a few things that have happened recently. Okay, so the first one was going to be the CPO officer coming in, and this was, a pretty okay news. It wasn't really pumped or dumped or anything like that, but they're putting people in charge of the company. There was a clear concern with Guev Stern going over why he wasn't pleased with finding a partner and getting people, that ran the company. And it seems like he solved that problem as of late. And then he actually appointed the new president of the company as well, Zevi Nadevi. I could be mispronouncing that, but hey, sounds cool. So either way, he's putting people in charge. We've done some reviews on the live going over who these people are and why I like them, and then, why they're credible and stuff like that. So you can go and do a little bit more research on these guys. I'm not going to spend the majority of the video on this point, but these are key focal points. And then I want to look at the defense contract that they currently are working on, right? Not spend too much time here either, but this is a little bit of data just so you know. And so they announced they have 2 defense contracts, security agencies with the Dragonfly systems. And the key thing about these systems is going to be that this leads to the risk of IP theft being reduced greatly, effectively streamline productivity by bringing additive manufacturing in-house. This can significantly keep the cost down while increasing the speed of R&D, reducing lead times. So this is big. So now they can be producing 3D models 24/7. 3D models are getting huge. If you don't know, CATHIE Wood owns quite a bit of 3D companies. I forgot to add this in, so I'm going to squeeze it right into the video, but this is one news that we had released March 17th, and I believe we're kind of forgetting about it as well. And it was their monolithic RF communication circuit that was kind of implemented when they went to the space station earlier in last month, and mid last month, give or take. And this is a pretty big space that we're kind of not talking too much about. You can see the primary purpose of this project is to demonstrate the viability of using new technology such as a multi-level, multi-material AMES, which use 3D inkjet printer based technology to produce monolithic RF communication systems for use in space. Now, this is big because they're not just working with defense, but this is also going to be in the space territory as well. And we've seen how that correlated over to CPSH when we had that major run up to $30 on that specific stock as well. So I don't want people to overlook this area because this is another area where NNDM can really strive and do well. And like I said, this is going to really space them out to when they start working with other companies that aren't directly related to the government. But this leads us back over to here, and this is an area that I want to spend some of our time. If you don't know, this is Bazinga Pro. This is where I do all of my DD essentially now, and I'm absolutely loving it. So on the 12th, we had this news on Monday. This was the buy report from ARK Invest, and they've been doing quite a bit of buying. So you can see right here, Nano Dimension, they bought 463K shares. And then Wednesday, today, you saw CATHIE Wood buy another 687,000 shares of the company. So we're seeing them really stack up into both of their portfolios, and this is what you like to see, that she's going on an absolute spending spree while we're seeing this dip. Now let's take a really quick look at the chart so we can, see the buy zones that I'm talking about. As we look here, what I'm anticipating is, we got a little bit of a pump from that news for the week where we're getting rejected, and it looks like we're going to start coming down. So this is the bad news. I definitely see a little bit more downside coming. I'm not a buyer at this price point. The first zone I like is right here at 675 down to like 657, 655, give or take a 20-cent range, 675, 655 range right there. And then the next zone is going to be a little bit below, and this is going to be a key price range that we've seen held for quite some time. And this is one little block area that has not really been tested since, December. So we haven't had that test down to this $6 flat, 620 range. And I could definitely see that happening. However, it just depends how risk tolerant you are right now. Okay. So I'm not going to go over the RSI or MACD because those indicators show that, yes, we are oversold. We're in a period of, just they're mass selling right now. So that's something you can think about, but that's not going to be an indicator to where buyers are stepping in. And if we go back to Bazinga Pro, you can see that there are some buyers sitting in. We have some block trades coming in down here at 987 where we had some of those coming in, but not too many as you saw from Zom. If you watch the Zom video from today, you can see there was tons of buyers stepping in. And right now there aren't that many buyers in that big of block trades signaling in on NNDM. So I'm not pressured to enter at this price point. I think they have a future. I think right now they're a little bit, I don't want to say overvalued, but they're not getting any help from the market. They're still getting held down. Now 3D printing, there's some other companies like 3D. We can look at other 3D companies and they're all just kind of coming down. 3D printing, for instance, they're all somewhat getting crushed. Cathie Wood also owns this company, a large little bulk of them. So you're not necessarily at a bottom yet when it comes back to NNDM. So I just want everyone to know there is some residual risk. I recommend that you really believe in the company and do your own DD. So it looks like there is more space to come down. So that first buy zone for me is going to be 678 down to 660. Next one's going to be about 620 down to $6, maybe even 590, this range down here. But right here, I'm not a huge fan. And I'm sorry if that's not what you wanted to hear, but ultimately, I'm just giving you my brutal, honest truth when it comes to these stocks. All right, traders, I wanted to give you my honest truth on NNDM. So I don't mean to be bearish on them or anything like that. Long term, I believe they have a key future in the industry, especially with working with the United States military and defense system. That's huge. That's what we need. When it comes to these companies like Palantir, that's why I'm so bullish on them. They start working directly with defense companies and they expand from there, because if you can be a reliant source of a producer for these defense companies, it shows you'll work, especially when it comes to retail, because there's really no room for error when you're working with these government entities. So that's something to think about. I do like where Cathie Wood's headspace is. They love focusing on defense companies. I mean, you can see they're dumping money into Palantir and they're dumping money into NNDM and no one's really talking about it. So I do like that thesis there, but I do suspect a little bit more downside coming from the market. Market report data was released today and we're getting some downside. The bull run, I'm not saying it's over, but we're getting somewhat of a retracement to end the week. So what I would be looking for is those key levels that I mentioned in the video. If you have questions, ask down below. And if you want to see every single trade I'm getting into, the Patreon link is down below. Don't feel pressured to do that, but I do have text alerts and then I'm talking all day long on the Discord as well. So you can pick my brain, ask me questions. I'm live every morning there doing Q&As with the Discord group. There's about 120 of us right now. So feel free to join in there. But again, no pressure because I provide free content every single day on the stocks I love on this channel. Have a good one, traders. Namaste.